Hey guys, welcome to Project Metal Music's YouTube channel with your host, me, El Young, and we are here with Ryan from the band Marching Arms. So, welcome, Ryan.
Glad to be here.
Right, Ryan. Who are you and what you do in the band Marching Arms?
I am the vocalist and one of three guitar players in the band. Um, and I guess we just had a new bass player and drummer. So I'm also one of three original members. So
Cool, cool. So, let's dive into some questions. Right, just a little bit of background, a little bit of history. As a kid, um, what were you listening to?
I remember, I don't even think I was 10 years old. Um, and we had this new kid showed up in my class, and his dad must have listened to a lot of heavy metal. And yeah, he had a Ride the Lightning cassette that he let me borrow. And I mean, that just instantly hooked. I mean, totally hooked. Had all the Metallica stuff. Like growing up, Metallica to me. And then I branched out into, Maiden and Pantera and some other stuff. But yeah, that's definitely at the very beginning. Oh, actually, no, even one earlier. AC/DC before Metallica. I had um, I think it must have been this same kid, and he had the Razor's Edge. And I remember I had this. I don't know what you guys have for kids' toys over in the UK, but there's a brand over here called Play School, and they make just small kids' toys, like for 5 and under. And it was this
Yeah,
tiny little cassette player that had a little plastic microphone so you could hear yourself singing on it. And I remember the title track to the Razor's Edge. The Razor's Edge, that was my favorite song. And I just sat in that room. I'm probably like a second grader. And I'm just playing that song, hitting rewind, playing that song, hitting rewind. I thought it was so cool. So yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
I got into metal very young. And my parents, I grew up in I'm actually a farm kid. I grew up on a farm. And so my parents, they listened to country western music. And I have a much more appreciation for it now, but back then I hated it. It was like showing Dracula the Cross to me. I couldn't stand country music. All I wanted to do was listen to metal. So yeah, I got into it young, and I went uh, very aggressively towards it, just because it was almost like rebellion to me.
yeah, yeah. Was it that particular kid, that new kid who came into your school class, or was it somebody else who got you into music?
It was that maybe a couple people. It was that kid got me specifically into Metallica, and then I had a cousin who was actually a couple of cousins that were older than me. Um, and so they would, every time we'd get together at family get-togethers, I'd go into their rooms and start ogling over their cassette collections and, whoa, what does this sound like? What does that sound like? Um, and one of those cousins, he got a guitar too when he was a little bit younger, and so I thought that was so cool, like having an electric guitar and playing riffs and stuff like that. So yeah, not a just kind of growing up where I'm from. Um, Metal is not. It wasn't some real popular style of music, but all it took was just a couple people in my circle who listened to it to turn me on to it.
Cool. So, after you sort of like started to get into like the metal side of music, who inspired you to become a musician?
Um, I think that cousin actually who had that guitar,
Yeah, yeah,
we have um, a family home video, and it was, I think, my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary. And so all my aunts and uncles and all my cousins came to this thing, and it was at our house on the farm. And my parents had just bought my one cousin's drum set. So the one cousin had a drum set, and this other cousin had an electric guitar. And his parents bought him this drum set thinking he would play it. I don't think he ever really played it. So my parents, they bought it for me. So I had this thing set up in my room, and then that other cousin was at this get together for this 50th wedding anniversary. And at the video is all just, interviews of, what people think about grandma and grandpa and all that stuff. And it ends with myself on drums and that other cousin on guitar playing Enter Sandman. That's how the video for this 50th wedding anniversary ends. So yeah, that cousin was very influential in me actually wanting to be a musician.
Yeah. Cool. It would be like it would be a joy to watch. You jamming out to Enter Sandman.
I've got to find it again. I think my sister has copies of it. My parents have copies of it. So yeah. It'd be fun to watch that again.
Yeah. So as you developed your picking up like the drums and guitars and stuff like that, was there any bands that you were in before you decided to start doing marching arms?
So the first band I was in, I played drums in it, and it was from my small hometown. And so I was probably maybe 13 years old. I know my mom had to drive me to and from every practice. I was a kid, and these other two, they were seniors in high school. They were 18 years old, and we played. The kinds of shows we played were biker fests and just like drunken college get-togethers. So you can imagine my parents weren't too happy about it, and eventually my parents made me quit the band. That band was called Red Moth, and it was kind of sounded like, I don't know, very very 90s hard rock kind of sounding band. It wasn't metal enough for me anyways, so that's fine. Then the next band I was in, we started that when I moved to a larger city to go to college, and just kind of met this group of guys who all were interested in playing music, and that band was Nodes of Ranvier, and that was I guess metalcore is what you would call it, a metalcore band. And we actually we toured a lot in that band. I mean, we toured 6 months out of the year, played every single state. We actually had a tour we were trying to line up in the UK, and it just kept sputtering out. We couldn't get it to work. We had a couple of videos on MTV. Had a record deal with that one, a couple different record deals, and that band lasted maybe 7 years. Nodes was around, put out 4 albums. So yeah, I mean that was a good time. It was awesome. I'm so glad I did it. Until you've actually been out on the road and on tour, you don't know what it's like. It makes time go by so much slower, because if you just have a day-to-day job, a week goes by like that. But when you're going somewhere else and something different is happening all the time, it I don't know, life just kind of slows down, even though it seems like you're living this fast-paced life. But my wife, who I'm still married to, that was actually one of those tours was our honeymoon. We never took a honeymoon, so our honeymoon was her, myself, and 4 other guys and a roadie, and we never had like a hotel room to ourselves ever, because we'd rent one hotel and try to get 2 beds and sneak in, so they didn't know how many people were staying there. It was either that or we're staying at people's places. But yeah, those were good times. And actually, one of the guitar players in Marching Arms, the current band, John Parker, he also was in Nodes of Ranvier. And then in 2017, the record label that Nodes of NBA was on, it was their 20-year anniversary. So they called us up and were like, "Hey, we'll fly you guys out to LA. We want you guys to be there and play a show." And we started calling around to some of the ex-members, and we couldn't really put it together. So March in Arms basically went and played that show. So I moved back to drums to play that show, and then we got a hold of our friend Kyle Benke, who was the last vocalist for Nodes or NVA, and he's also done a lot of videos for March in Arms. So we flew out there and played that show. So I wouldn't say that band is totally dead for any fans of Nodes or NVA. I mean, we've talked about maybe trying to even put together another album at some point. But yeah, that leads us to March in Arms. And March in Arms, I actually started working on the idea for March in Arms way back in 2004 when I was on tour with Nodes or NVA. So yeah, go ahead if you got any questions about that band.
Yeah. It's, how many albums did you put out with that particular band?
With Nodes or NVA?
Yeah.
4 albums.
Four albums.
Yeah, 3 albums on Face Down Records, and then there's 1 album that was put out on Victory Records. Yeah, 4 albums on that in that band. Yep.
So you might so basically there's no sort of like this. There might be another album sometime in the future.
Maybe. I mean, I know the formula is still there to write all that stuff. If Nodes is so different from March in Arms. March in Arms, I'm one of the primary songwriters of March in Arms, and John and I were the primary songwriters in Nodes for NVA as well. But March in Arms is more verse chorus structured, and then you're trying to incorporate all this military history in the lyrics. It's a challenge to write those songs because you got to come up with a really catchy melody and all this. Nodes of NVA was come up with 1 guitar riff. Okay, now how do we transition to the next guitar riff? I don't think there's maybe 2 or 3 songs that Nodes or NVA ever wrote where it went verse, chorus, verse, chorus. It was always just 1 riff to the next riff, to the next riff, to the next riff. It was super progressive, very chaotic. I mean, it was fun, but it's an easier style of music to write for sure.
Yeah. So, basically getting on to March in Arms. What has the band been up to, especially this last 18 months or so?
So I think I mentioned that we took on a new. Well, let's go back here. Let's go back. So our new album, we recorded that in 2018, and since at the time we were not signed to a record label, and we like putting out very high quality stuff. I mean, we don't want to look like a small. We want to look as big as we can, as professional as we can. And so we recorded the album November 2018. And then there's probably another 6 months of listening to mixes and adjusting stuff and just getting it the way we want it. Well, if you want to do a proper release, you got to have music videos to go with that. You got to have album artwork, all this stuff. And so we got a hold of, I think I'm saying his name right, Jan Lund, like YRLUND. He has done album artwork for Battle Beast, Tarja for Nightwish. He's done his work is amazing. And we knew we wanted to get someone of that caliber to do the artwork. So I mean, there goes another 6 months on that, putting together all the music videos. By the time we got all that stuff put together, we got to the end of that, and then we had our drummer and bass player quit. So now we're kind of back to square one because we didn't want to just start releasing stuff without having a lineup, because we're thinking, oh, well, we're going to release stuff, and now we're going to go play a bunch of shows. So then we tried to put together, we had this show in Las Vegas, and we had to real quick we needed to get a bass player and a drummer. we picked up a permanent bass player, and we had to use a fill-in drummer to go play that show. That show was February 28th, 2020, which was probably the last day before stuff really went downhill. So now
Yeah.
we're in the midst of the pandemic, and so now we still need to find a permanent drummer. So that takes us a couple more months to find a permanent drummer. And then we're still thinking, no one knew how long this was going to last. So we're still thinking, well, I mean, there's got to be a time here, right, where we can release this stuff and start playing shows. So we start practicing and practicing and practicing a set, and it's just stuff is not going to open up. So then we have to make the decision, hey, let's just release it. So we hired some PR firms and started releasing it. We had the videos made, so we could start releasing that. And still not knowing when the right time to open stuff back up would be, now we've started working on new material for the third album. So as far as shows and gigs that we haven't had like nice long strings of shows, because stuff like that, especially now with bands just so eager to get out and play, you got to book stuff 6 months in advance. So this whole year has kind of been, we did our album release show, and we played a fest north of us. And now tomorrow we're headed to Madison, Wisconsin. There's a big power metal fest there called Mad with Power Fest. So we're going to be playing that tomorrow. But I think that's kind of what the rest of our year is going to be, is just kind of, a sporadic show here or there. And so the plan will probably be to keep working on new material, try to get the third album put together, and then next summer have a bunch of stuff lined up and planned and get out and play a lot of shows. So
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to be working on any new material, following, like, obviously following the second album. Is there any schedule on how far you're on to the on the new material?
so we're actually going to be premiering a new song at Mad with Power Fest tomorrow. And that people can, if they want to watch it, it should be an awesome show. It's totally sold out. You can go to madwithpowerfest.com, and I think it's $20. You can live stream the whole thing, the whole concert all night. We go on at the clock, I believe. That song that we're going to be premiering is, since the lyric content is super important to me and how it fits together with everything else. So that song is going to go with the next album, which we got a few songs we're working through on that. We're going to put on another 10-song album. So I'd like to, maybe late winter, early spring next year, get back into the studio. There's another song though that has nothing to do with this other batch of songs for this next album. It's going to be kind of a one-off. So I'd like to try to get in and record that maybe sooner, or maybe record that with other songs and release it sooner. So I'm hoping by next summer we already have some new stuff that we can put out. And hopefully it doesn't take us 2 years from going into the studio to put out the next album. It was just a really bad luck of the draw on that, and
Yeah.
yes, kind of disorganized. But I mean, you put so much work into this, into recording and producing an album, that you don't want to just kind of dump it out there and not have videos and everything else lined up, because if you don't do it right, it'll just fall on its face, and then how do you start it up again? So
Yeah. So with some new material already been written and going to be premiered in like for example tomorrow's show, is there any plans on getting plans on getting concert dates for this new album for next year?
we need to be working on that now. We're ideally, we're going to try to lock in a bunch of festivals next year, bigger festivals. Festivals will work out great with, I mean, every band wants to play festivals, obviously. And then maybe we can string some shows together to get between the festivals. Another huge goal for this band would be able to get over to Europe. I mean, we want to get overseas so bad. Um, that's definitely a goal. We've got to make that happen at some point. So I think a lot of that's just going to come down to us working with our record label and some of our connections to line something like that up.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, would you ever come over to the UK? Do like a full
Absolutely,
blown like?
we'd love
Yeah,
to.
cool,
Yes. Yep. Yeah,
cool.
and honestly,
So
I mean, if we go over there and stuff next year, it probably isn't going to even be promoting a brand new album. It's probably going to be, the official promotion of the current album, Pulse of the Daring. Because, like I said, we haven't really had a chance to play a whole lot of shows to back it up. Um,
yeah,
oh, another thing too. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So there's a lot of stuff going on tomorrow. So we're playing Mad with Power Fest at 6 o'clock, and that's Central Time Zone here in the Midwest. So 7 o'clock Eastern. I don't know what that is for you, but
seven. It'll
probably late
be
night,
midnight
midnight.
for the UK. Yeah,
Excellent. At 3 o'clock tomorrow, our record label RFL Records is going to be putting out a concert series. They kind of asked all the bands to try to put together, 4 or 5 song set of live material and put out kind of a live video. So we were very fortunate for our album release show. We got probably the baddest ass venue we could possibly have asked for. There's a 25-foot video screen behind us. Huge lighting trusses. I mean, it looks like a Def Leppard concert. It's crazy. So I think there's 5 songs that we put out on that. That'll be premiering tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And then after they put it out, we'll start putting it out on our social media, on our Facebook page, Instagram or YouTube channel, stuff like that. So they're very well edited. I mean, the audio, it's kind of just like the room sound, and it's a big boomy room. So it maybe lacks a little bit, but it also is cool because it sounds huge. It sounds like a big, loud room. So yeah, we're excited to see what people think of that too.
cool. So basically, this will probably the last question. And before we get to the last question, you've mentioned a couple of like social media sites like Facebook and Instagram. Is there any other social media sites you're on so people can follow you?
Yeah,
Have you
just
got a website?
yeah. Okay, so going through them all, we're on Facebook, March in Arms on Facebook. Instagram, it's at March in Arms. Our YouTube channel is March in Arms Metal, and you should definitely go check that out because we made a couple just stupid. Have you been to it? Our YouTube channel.
I've briefly seen what briefly touched the YouTube channel.
Okay, so there's a couple videos on there that are just stupid. They're not music. It's just us being complete jackasses, and they're parodies of popular TV shows. And the other one has nothing to do with anything. It's just we there was this knife store down the street, and they had a blow-up sale on swords and knives. Our one guitar player showed up to practice. He had a switchblade. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go get one of those. So we have these 2 switchblades, and we're like, oh, we should make a funny video with switchblade. We're going to actually, I don't think that one's uploaded on there yet. We got to get that uploaded on there. So yeah, check out our YouTube channel. There's one for Full House. There's one for Roseanne. There's another ridiculous one. It's called like Rock Band in a Dad Van. And the way that came about is we have this friend who edited videos for this car dealership. And somehow he talked them into making a video with us for like the new Honda Odyssey minivan. And so it's just us driving around being complete dipshits in this van. And it's the most viewed video they've ever had for that car dealership, but he lost his position after they put it out. But it was totally worth it. It's so ridiculous. There's probably not a lot of bands that put videos out like that, and there's probably a reason, but we think they were pretty funny. And then our website is trying to figure how does it go. It's marchandarms@bandcamp.com, and you can stream all of our songs there. We have T-shirts and CDs, and I think some other items for sale there. We're putting up a couple new T-shirt designs. We got a super cool koozie. Do you call them koozies over there? Like a little sleeve to keep your can of beer cold, like a little foam
Yeah,
sleeve. Yeah.
I know what you mean, but I don't, I can't remember what they're actually called over here.
Okay. Okay. Yep. It's like a bright lime green. It looks awesome. So yeah, definitely go check that out. You can pick up cool hoodies and T-shirts on that, and we ship worldwide. So our bass player actually works at a like a warehouse that ships stuff all over the world. So we've had a couple parties basically where we went over there and just boxed stuff up for an hour and a half. So yeah, check all that stuff out.
Yeah. Right. This is the last question, and I always ask this every musician I've actually interviewed. This is usually I tend to ask any advice for people who do want to become a musician, whether it be a vocalist, a guitarist, a drummer, whatever. Any advice for them?
I would, if you want to play an instrument, just absolutely dive in and do it. It's even if you don't think you're going to be doing this as a profession, and even with us, this isn't a full-time job. We all have jobs. We try to play as much as we possibly can. And like I said, I mean, we're a serious enough band that if the opportunity came our way, we're coming your guys' way. We want to play in the UK. We want to play Europe. We want to go to Japan. We want to go to South America. We want to play as much as possible. But being able to play an instrument, it's just I feel bad for people who haven't been able to open up that avenue of creativity. It's so awesome being able to write your own songs and even just play other stuff that you like. I mean, it's something that is a lifetime passion you can have. It's I don't know. It's a really good way to get your emotions and your feelings out. And if you're someone who wants to do it professionally, and I can say this from experience in a band where it was, outside of donating plasma to make money, like the band was how we made money. You need to work your ass off because no one is going to hand you anything at all. And you're going to play just a lot of horrible shows, but even if there's 3 people at that show, you need to play it like there's 10,000, because the next time you roll through there, those 3 people are either going to remember that you were good or you sucked. And there might be 100 people the next time or no one because you turned those 3 people off. So, yeah, if you're someone who wants to do this seriously and play live, you've got to give it everything you got every time you go on stage. No hold barred. That'd be my advice.
Cool, cool. Thank you so much, Brian, for actually coming on and doing this interview. It's very much appreciated, and seriously, thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. It's great to talk to someone across the
Yeah,
pond.
yeah. It's very, like I said, it's very much appreciated. So thank you so much.
Thank you for what you do too, helping bands get their promotion out there.
Yeah, it's music's helped me over the years, so I want to sort of like repay that by helping bands to get noticed.
Yeah, fantastic.
So, like I said, thank you so much.
Thank you again.